You know that and the candy that you don't want to have to look at either, right? Anyway, I became fascinated by two of the magazines that were sitting side by side. One was an issue of National Geographic, and it focused on the universe. And it was filled with amazing and stunningly beautiful pictures of outer space. Stars and galaxies, suns and planets, black holes and supernovas. The astounding beauty of the pictures would absolutely take your breath away. How could anyone possibly look at something like that and not know, beyond any doubt whatsoever, that there is in fact a God? And, as if to validate that insight, the magazine sitting directly next to it was called The Complete Idiot's Guide to Faith. No lie, you can't make this stuff up. Who knew that the Holy Spirit worked in the supermarket? If you want to see God, just look at what God has made. The Creator is revealed in the creation. Today and for the next couple of weeks, we will honor God's beautiful creation in our liturgies. And today is the day that we have our annual pet blessing, which is one of my very favorite things to do because I am a die-hard animal lover. And the reason that we celebrate all that, of course, is because October 4th is the feast of St. Francis of Assisi. So I'd like to deviate from talking about the readings today, which is something I usually never do. But I think today it would do us well to talk about Francis. So I'd like to do that. Because even though he lived more than 800 years ago, St. Francis still has a lot to teach us today. Francis would have absolutely swooned to see that issue of National Geographic. Because one of the main things he has to teach us is that if we want to see God, we should look at what God has made. The Creator is revealed in the creation. Francis lived in medieval Italy during the late 11th, early 1200s. He was a member of the wealthy merchant class. His dad was a cloth dealer. And he was a really wild child. He was a potty-hiding kind of guy. His town, Assisi, was almost always locked in conflict with the nearby town of Perugia. The two towns sit on hills right next to each other, Assisi and Perugia. As a result of his involvement in that conflict, Francis suffered imprisonment and severe illness. And as a result of those less than wonderful experiences, he met God. Like so many of us discover, it was in the depths of suffering and despair and tragedy that Francis met God. And he experienced the unconditional love and boundless mercy of Jesus Christ. And he would never be the same again. He renounced his wealth and gave away all his possessions. He tried to give away all his family's possessions as well, without asking them permission. So his father got so upset that he renounced Francis. Francis went on to embrace a life of strict poverty, wearing rags, begging for food, keeping nothing as his own. He did that in order to imitate Jesus Christ, who, in the words of St. Paul, though he was rich, became poor for our sake, in order that we might become rich through him. Francis's embrace of poverty calls us to consider, if not poverty, then perhaps at least simplicity of life. Because that can and will result in three infinitely important things: trust in God, intimacy with Christ, and open availability to the Holy Spirit. From Francis's point of view, the less stuff we embrace, the more we are free to embrace and to be embraced by God. A laudable exchange. The other thing that Francis is fondly remembered for is his connection to creation. It was nothing more than a manifestation of his connection to God. stone, everything, because in it, whatever it was, we cherished and loved and reverenced the one who made it. The one who made it. Francis preached to the birds, and he bowed to the trees in the forest that looked like crosses. He tamed a wild wolf that was terrorizing the town of Assisi. He spent long, long periods of time in solitude, in the caves of the beautiful and rugged hills around Assisi. And then he would come into town to preach the gospel and to tell people about Jesus Christ. And to beg so that he wouldn't starve. He was kind of like the town nut, you know? He really was. But everyone loved him. Men and women followed him in droves, and they still do, more than 800 years later. The lady Claire of Assisi, another very wealthy townsperson, was so impressed by Francis that she too gave up everything in order to follow his way of life, and she became the founder of the feminine expression of Franciscan spirituality, St. Clare. Even during his lifetime, Francis had so many followers that he didn't know what to do with them all. Today, more than 800 years later, the Franciscan family, men and women, religious and lay people, is one of the largest spiritual families in the world. There are Roman Catholic Franciscans, Anglican and Episcopal Franciscans, non-denominational Franciscans, and interfaith Franciscans. So broad is the appeal of the Poverello, as he was called, the little poor man. His other nickname, by the way, was Alter Christus, the other Christ. Everyone loved Francis. People and animals and birds and wolves and trees and flowers and everyone and everything loved Francis. Because Francis loved everyone and everything. Because Francis loved God. And the Creator is revealed in the creation. And you know, when you're in love, you do tend to get a little kooky, don't you? Francis was crazy because he was crazy in love with God. He was a passionate, audacious lover of God. He was a contemplative. He was a mystic. He was one of those people who sees God everywhere. Everywhere. If you want to see God, look at what God has made. The Creator is revealed in the creation. So, here's a little church homework for you. Really? Find some time and go and sit beside the ocean. You can wait till it stops raining if you want to. But you don't have to. Go sit beside the ocean. Listen to the pounding of the waves. Taste the salt air. Feel the wind in your hair and against your skin. Look at the awesome beauty of the sea and the sky. And try to do that until you know. Until you know God. Listen to the pounding of the waves until you hear the heartbeat of God. Taste the salt air until you taste the tears of God. Feel the wind until you feel the breath of God. And look out at the sea and the sky until you see the face of God. Because you will. You will. You will see God looking right back at you. Creation is the body of God. Creation is the body of God. If you see God? Look at what God has made. The Creator is revealed in the Creator.